It was one of those quiet evenings, the kind where the world feels like it's holding its breath. The air was warm, but there was a coolness creeping in as night began to fall. I was sitting on the porch of our house, just enjoying the peace of it all. The crickets were starting their nightly song, and the last bit of sunlight was fading into a soft purple sky. I live with my dad in an old house on the edge of town. It's a big house, but it's nothing fancy, just a place where the memories pile up and the floorboards creak underfoot like they're holding on to something from the past. My dad is the kind of person who loves the quiet of this house. He spends hours in the garden planting flowers, trimming the bushes, or picking vegetables. For him, the garden is like a second home. And I guess, in a way, it is. Me, I'm more of an inside person. I spend my time reading or just watching the world go by from the porch. I love it here, but I can't deny that sometimes it feels a little too still. I've gotten used to it though. I know everyone, and everyone knows me. It's the kind of place where nothing ever really happens, but tonight I could feel something in the air. Maybe it was the quiet, or maybe it was just me being too aware of the world around me. But something felt off. I didn't know it then, but it was the calm before the storm. "Lila, I'm going out for a minute," my dad called from the kitchen, breaking the silence. "Stay here, all right?" I nodded, like I always did when he told me something. Dad wasn't the kind of person to explain much. If he said stay, I stayed. It was simple. Most of the time he would just walk out to the garden where he felt at peace. But tonight there was a feeling in the air, something I couldn't shake. As soon as he left, I decided to take a walk through the garden myself. Maybe the cool air would help clear my head. I pushed myself off the porch and made my way into the yard, the soft crunch of gravel under my shoes comforting in the growing quiet. The garden was still as always, the flowers just beginning to close up for the night. It smelled like fresh earth and blooming roses. There was a calmness that came with the place, the kind that made you feel like you could forget about everything and just breathe. But as I was walking through the rows of plants, I heard something that made me stop in my tracks. Footsteps. Soft, like someone was walking toward me but trying to stay hidden. My heart skipped a beat and I turned around quickly, my senses on high alert. It was James. "Hey, Lila," he said, his voice almost too calm. He had that easy smile on his face, the same one he always wore when he came over. James had been around forever, ever since I was little. He was like another uncle to me, close friends with my dad, always around for dinner, always laughing, always making everyone feel at ease. But tonight, something was different. "Where's Dad?" I asked, trying to ignore the sudden unease creeping up my spine. "Oh, he's inside," James answered. "He's fine. Just wanted to make sure you're all right." His voice was smooth, but his eyes didn't match. There was something behind them that made me feel uneasy. I couldn't put my finger on it, but something wasn't right. "I'm good," I said, forcing a smile. "I'm just going to head back inside." Before I could take another step, James blocked my way, his expression growing more serious. "Lila, wait," he said, his tone softer now. "There's something important I need to tell you." I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. I didn't know why, but his words sent a chill through me. "What is it?" James just stood there, looking at me like he was debating whether or not to say what was on his mind. But then, before I could make sense of it, he took a step closer. "I think we need to talk," he said, his voice now almost a whisper. And that was when I realized something I hadn't wanted to acknowledge before. Something was wrong. I wasn't sure what, but I could feel it deep in my bones. Without thinking, I turned and ran, fast. I didn't even look back until I slammed the door behind me. The quiet of the house felt different now, almost too silent. The whole place seemed to hold its breath, waiting. waiting for something I didn't know was coming. I didn't know why, but as soon as I stepped inside, I felt this strange pressure in the air, like the house itself was holding on to a secret. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. I didn't want to go back out to the garden, but I couldn't just sit in the house feeling like this. I decided to go upstairs. Maybe I could distract myself by reading or just organizing my room. But as I stepped onto the second floor, I froze. I heard voices, low voices, but I could make out two distinct sounds, my dad's and James's. The words were muffled, but the tone wasn't. There was tension, something I hadn't heard before between the two of them. I pressed my ear against the door to Dad's study, trying to catch what they were saying. "I told you this was going to happen," James was saying. His voice was almost sharp. "I know," Dad replied, his tone tight, "but I never thought it would get this far." I didn't know what they were talking about, but hearing them speak like that sent a shiver down my spine. My dad? The calm, steady man who rarely raised his voice? To hear him speak that way about someone else was unsettling. I didn't know what to do. I should have left. I should have walked away and let them handle whatever it was. But curiosity, or maybe something else, made me push open the door. I stepped inside without thinking. My dad was sitting at his desk, his face half hidden in shadow. James was standing by the window, his back to me. When I walked in, they both looked up. "Lila," my dad said, his voice sounding tired. "There's something you need to know about James." At that moment, I felt like the floor had been pulled out from under me. The way my dad said it, like I was about to learn something that would change everything, made my stomach turn. I wanted to ask 1,000 questions, but I didn't know where to start. I couldn't breathe. The peaceful evening had turned into something else entirely, something dark. And then I understood. Whatever was happening, whatever had been happening, was bigger than I could imagine. James's eyes didn't look like the eyes of the friendly family friend I'd known all these years. There was something cold about them now, something calculating. And when he smiled, it wasn't warm anymore. It was twisted, almost as if he was trying to hold something in that he knew he shouldn't. "Lila," he said slowly, his voice soft but firm. "There's a lot you don't know. You think you understand things, but you don't." My mind raced, but I couldn't put the pieces together. Why was he talking to me like that? Why wasn't he acting like himself? My heart was pounding in my chest, and my body felt frozen, like I couldn't move. "What do you mean?" I finally managed to ask, my voice shaking more than I meant it to. Dad looked away, his face tense. "You're going to find out soon enough, Lila. I wanted to protect you from this, but I can't anymore." The words hung in the air like a thick fog. I didn't understand. My head was spinning. Everything that I thought I knew, everything that I thought was safe and real, was suddenly slipping away. James stepped forward then, his smile returning, but this time there was something more in his eyes. Something darker. I didn't know what was happening, but I felt like I was about to fall into something I couldn't escape. And that's when I realized my world, the one that had always seemed so calm and predictable, was about to change forever, and I wasn't ready. But then again, whoever is,